Yes, so I was saying that if you have to identify the objects using Selenium, you need to go to the page source of the page and you need to find the tag names and the attributes associated with the tag. To do this, the easier way is to install Firebug by going to this URL, right? You install Firebug. With Firebug, you can easily analyze the page. Hold on, I'll tell you. I've installed it. Firebug gets installed as an add-on inside Mozilla, right? So in Firebug, you have this small arrow icon, this one. Okay, when you click on this and you move your mouse on the page, fine. Hold on, this is the HTML tag, right? Go to HTML tab over here and then move the mouse. Then suppose if I move my mouse on any object on this web page, for example, I move my mouse on this text field, right? Then Firebug will give you the source code which is responsible for this text field. That means it will highlight the code of this text field in the page in Firebug. Fine. It becomes very easy to analyze objects like this. This is something similar to Object-Spy, not exactly same, something similar to Object-Spy and QTP. This is the register link. Okay, this is the link. All right. A question is being asked: can you send the link to download Firebug? You just have to go to Google and type download Firebug, the first link. You click on this, right? This is the link. I'm sorry. I'll give this link to everybody on Webex chat. I've given it. Right. Now, similar to Firebug, what if I want to inspect the object inside Chrome? Fine. Suppose I am on Chrome and I'm on any website, say in.reddit.com, right? And I have to investigate any object. In Chrome, you don't need to install the add-on. The add-on is already there, right? You just need to right click on any object. For example, this is the search button. Okay, this is the search button. You right click on it, you'll get the option inspect element. When you click on this, automatically, this is known as Chrome Inspector, it will automatically open, right? And the object would be highlighted. Okay, you see that this is the sign in link. Or if you look at this text field, right, or this search button, whatever it is, you right click on it, you'll get the element. Fine. So this is the page source. Okay, page source is responsible for generating the content on the web page. Okay, for example, if I right click on this news link and inspect element, so I'll find this news link in the page source. If I change it to Ashish in the page source, you'll see that on the web page also it will change to Ashish. Alright, this page source is responsible for generating the content on your website. Okay, so now in case of I also you can investigate. There is something known as I inspector. If you hit hold on, there is a keyboard shortcut. If you hit F12 in Chrome or I, this inspector comes up, F12. In I also, if you click on this, you'll get the I developer tool. Fine, I don't have I good version with me. I have an older version, that's why I'm not opening it. If you press F12 in I, you'll get a window like this in which you can investigate your page. Okay, but generally, if your website opens in this state, if your website supports all the browsers, then whatever is the page source in I will remain same as the page source in Chrome and will remain same as the page source in Mozilla. Don't think that the page source will differ as per the browsers. No, it never differs until or unless the developer has specifically written different kind of logic for all the three browsers. right? But generally, for all the three browsers, the page source remains same. Okay, that what do I mean by page source remains same? I mean that the tag names and the attributes will remain same. So if you identify the object in Mozilla, you will be able to identify, you will be able to use the same object in Chrome and the same object in IE as well. What do I mean by object? Object is a general component on a web page. Okay, right? Now, how do I go forward and identify the object? All right. So that's the question. Look, the thing is, if you want to identify objects on your web page, I'll I'll tell you with the help of this Excel file. I always make this Excel file in the training. It helps a lot. All right. Now, there are various web components on the page, right? Can you please repeat what is an object on the page? Anything, a link is an object. Technically, we call it an object. Okay, a button is an object. This text is an object. We technically call the any web component on the page as an object. Okay, right. This image is an object, right? So that's what we call. We technically we call object. Like we URL is not an object. URL is just URL. I'm talking about the displayed components on the web page. The displayed components, the HTML components. Okay, so I'll make this Excel file. I'll write over here HTML component. Yeah, it's same as the process for mobile applications as well. Yes, Patrick. Right. I'll write HTML component over here. Then I'll write a tag name, mandatory attribute, and optional attribute. Right. Now there are various HTML components on the web page. Okay, fine. Components like you have a search box, or you have, let's start with a link. You have a link, fine. Then you have a text field. You have a radio button. You have a checkbox. All right. You have a list from which you can select multiple elements. You have images on the web page, right? Then what else you can have? You have normal text on the web page. Normal text is also there on the web page. All right. So these are the general components which are visible to the human eye present on the web page. Apart from these components are there, like web tables are there, then iframes, frames are there. Right. I'll talk about the visible components right now. Okay. Each and every of these components has got a tag name, mandatory attribute, and optional attributes associated with them. Right. If you look at, for example, if you look at this link extension, then every link has got an anchor tag. If you actually look at any link on the web page, okay, if you look at this link, right, any link on the web page will have a tag like an anchor tag. Okay, right, it will start with A. All right, So the tag name for link is A. Alright, it's already there. It will be there with all the tags on all the web pages. All the links on all the web pages will have the tag name A. Fine. For a text field, alright, if you look at the text field, like this is a text field, a text field will always have the input tag name. A text field will always have the tag name called as input. And rather, from my experience, I know that the radio button and checkbox, right, these also have got the tag names like input. Fine. And I'm sorry, there are normal buttons also present on button is also present on the page, right? For example, the submit button and all, these are buttons. Fine. A button on the page has also got the same tag, that is input. So input tag is associated with text field, radio button, checkbox, and a normal button on the web page. Okay, all of them have the tag name as input. Alright, then we have got a list. A list is like a drop list. Fine, do we have a drop list on this page? Yeah, this is a drop list. Okay, if you look at this drop list, it's got the tag name called select. Okay, select is the tag name associated with a list. Fine. For an image, like image on the page, this Mozilla browser on the top, this is an image. For an image, the tag name is img. And for a text, the text on a web page can have any tag like para tag, div tag, span, label. So there is no one tag defined for text. A text can have any one of these tags or some other tag as well. Okay, fine. Now each and every of these tags has got set of mandatory attributes or one mandatory attributes associated with it. Okay, for example, in case of a link, you will always find that a link always has got an href attribute associated with it. There will be no link on any web page which hasn't got href attribute. The href attribute points towards the URL which will open when you click on this link. Okay, so href is the mandatory attribute for a link. For a text field, this is a text field, right? There are number of attributes, ID, class, and a lot of attributes, but this attribute type equals to text will be present for all the text fields on all the web pages. Fine. Oh, hold on. Text. Fine. So a text field will always have the type attribute as text, and this will always be present. Fine. For a radio button on a web page, the type attribute will always be present and type will be equal to radio. For a checkbox, there will be an attribute present, always it will be present with a checkbox, and it will be type equals to checkbox. Okay, for example, just a minute. Yeah, if you go to the page Gmail and if you look at this checkbox over here, fine, input ID is an attribute and type is an attribute known as checkbox. This will always be present. okay, with a checkbox, and with a button. For example, this is the sign in button, right? With the button type equals to submit attribute will be present. Okay. In case of a list, the tag name is select, but there is no mandatory attribute for a list. Only the tag name select is more than enough. Alright. For an image on a web page, right? For example, Google is an image over here. There will be a attribute known as source. Source attribute will always be present and it will point towards the URL from which this image is, right? Guys, I request you to keep yourself on mute. In case you have any questions, you can unmute yourself, ask a question, right? I'm recording this session, otherwise there's a lot of background noise which comes, right? So this is the URL from which this Google image is loading, right? If I open this URL in a new tab, you see this Google image, right? So this Google image is loading from this particular URL, and the source attribute points towards that URL. So in case of an image, the source attribute is the mandatory attribute. For text, there is no mandatory attribute. Okay, you don't have anything. Just like select box, you cannot just distinguish. Okay. In case of a drop list, there is no mandatory attribute. If you look at a drop list like this, for example, if you look at it in Firebug, it's just got a select tag. These ID class, these are not mandatory attributes. There is no mandatory attribute associated with the list. Okay. Now there are set of optional attributes as well, which make our work very easy. They can be present. If they are present, then it becomes very easy to identify the objects. For example, an optional attribute can be like ID, class. Okay. These are the two major optional attributes which can be present with any web page element, right? And it makes our work quite easy. Or name is also present sometimes. Fine. So if these optional attributes are present with any one of these objects, it becomes very easy to identify them. Okay. If they are not present, then we'll have to use the combination of mandatory attributes and tag names to identify the objects. Okay, fine. Now, how do I identify the objects? Using tag name, mandatory attribute, optional attributes, right? Look, the easiest way to identify the object is to use the app optional attribute ID or name associated with any object. Okay, for example, in this Gmail class, gmail.java, I write the code WebDriver, driver equals to new, Firefox driver, interface reference equals to new class which is implementing the interface, and then I write driver dot get to the URL http gmail.com. Fine. Anybody having any questions so far, please feel free to ask. Okay, if anybody is having any questions. Alright. Now if you look at the WebDriver interface, alright, how do I look at it? You can go to the documentation, you can go to seleniumhq.org. Fine. Look, you have to again go and you have to again and again go to this website to actually get the Java documentation. Fine. You can import the Java documentation into Eclipse as well, right? Well, file radio button. I think you are confusing. This is a radio button. Hold on, just a minute. This is a radio button file. It's different than the normal button. You're confusing it with it. Alright. So this is the Java documentation. Fine. Now every time I have to visit this web page, okay. Every time I have to visit this web page and I have to get this URL. Fine. And yeah, I have to view this documentation online. I can import this documentation into Eclipse. Fine. What I can do is I can copy this URL. Fine. And I can go to this project properties, right, and I can go to this jar file, Selenium Java 2.33 or 2.x.jar. Fine. You expand this jar and you see the Java doc location. Fine. You edit this Java doc location and paste the URL over here. This is the URL. I'll give this URL to everybody. And from this URL, you have to remove index.html. So this will import the documentation of Selenium into Eclipse. Okay, you paste this URL. Okay, so when you click on OK, you will get the documentation imported. Now, if you move your mouse over anything, for example, I move my mouse over Firefox driver, I'll get the description of this class. This is the Firefox driver. This is WebDriver. This is an interface. Okay. Oh, you can see what this interface is doing, right? And if I write driver dot, you will see all the functions which are associated with driver. If I click on any function, for example, get title, fine. So this will get the title from the page, from the current page. You get the description right inside Eclipse. Okay, and for example, if I click on any, for example, there's a function known as find element. Okay, this find element function, it finds the first element using the given method, and it returns back the object of web element, object reference of web element interface. In Eclipse, I notice there's a question being asked: do you import jars onto where do that? Because that's how the jars come up when you download Selenium. When you download Selenium, you'll see that the jars are from, these are the two jars which come up, and other jars are inside lib folder. Okay, you have to import all of them. Alright, now yeah, so this is the web element interface. I've opened it, opened the documentation right inside Eclipse. Okay, you can click on frame view, you'll get the frame view. This is the frame view on the top. If you click on this, you'll get a view like this. Now, if you write driver dot, the function find element, that means find a component on the web page, right? Okay, this will find anything on the web page. Now, how do you find? You have to give some criteria. Alright, there's a by class. Alright, if you write driver dot find element, there's a class called by. This is the class. This class has got various locator strategies. Locator strategies, they mean this class has got various mechanisms which are used to locate the elements or locate the objects, locate the elements, whatever you can say, within a document or within the web page. Okay. For example, we have got the easiest way, ID, by the ID. Or if you have a link, you can identify the object by the link text. Or if there's a name associated with the attribute, with the tag name, I told you that there are optional attributes, right? Name is also one of the optional attributes. If the optional attribute name is present, you can identify the object by name or partial link text or tag name itself, right? Just by the tag name. Checkbox was the tag name, right? Okay. Or there are other things like class name or XPath, right? These are again some of the mechanisms to locate. So I'll talk about them now. Let's talk about the simple one by the ID, right? What you need to do is that you write over here driver dot find element. I'll tell you, Mohan, what an XPath is. Just hold on. Let's take the simplest thing by the ID. Fine. And you specify the ID of the element. For example, the reason I took Gmail was the developers of this website, they have given IDs to all the elements on the page. Fine. If I look at this text field username, fine, this has got the ID as email. Fine. So if you write driver.find element by the ID email, this will find the element on the page and this will return you, find element will return you the reference of interface web element, that is web element username. You can write like this, driver.find element by the ID email. Okay. Now you can do various things with this web element. I'm sorry. Alright, you can do various things with this username web element. Fine. If you have to type in this, which is the most common thing, right? In web element interface, there are various functions. For example, click, if you want to click on the web element, or get the size of the web element. Is it displayed? Is it enabled? Or a function like send keys. This will use this method to simulate typing into the element which may set its value. Alright. So if you write username dot send keys hello, this will type inside the username field. If you run this code, this will go forward and type the username in this username field. You see that? Right? Quite easy, right? It's not a big deal because identifying the objects with ID, it makes our work very easy. Similarly, I can identify the web element password. Fine. If you look at Gmail and if you analyze the password field, then password field, the developer has given ID as well as name to this field. There are two optional attributes associated with this field. One is ID, one is name. You can use any one of these to identify. For example, I use the attribute name over here instead of ID. You can use name and then you can write inside the password send keys some password. Okay. Now similarly you can write driver.find element web element button, the submit button is equal to driver.find element. This is the submit button. It's got the ID sign in. Fine. So you can write over here by the ID sign in, and when you get the button, you just click on the button. You write button dot click. Alright. So when you run this code, see that it submits the page and you get the error message. Right. Now what if there is no ID, there is no name? Fine. ID and name, they are the easiest ways. to identify the object. Okay, but there are elements on the page which have got no ID or no name. For example, if I want to extract this text, experience the ease and simplicity of Gmail everywhere you go. Right. If you want to read this text from the web page, then this is the tag h4 tag which is having this text. This tag has got no ID. This tag has got no name, nothing. So how do I identify that? To identify such components, you have to end up learning about CSS selectors or XPaths. Fine. So I'll talk about XPaths. Okay. XPaths are of two types. There are two types of XPaths. One is you call it complete XPath or absolute XPath. Another is partial XPath. Alright, fine. Now to find XPath on your web page, right? How do you find it? For example, if I look at this text Gmail, this is the Gmail text. I'm sorry. Right. So how do I find the XPath for this Gmail text? Right. Look, this is the page source. Okay. Everything starts from the tag name HTML. So XPath, they are the complete or absolute XPath. It is based on the tag name. It will start with the base of the document, which is the HTML tag. The first tag on the page is the HTML tag. Fine. If you expand HTML tag, there are two tags, head and body. Right. The text Gmail which I am interested in is inside the body tag actually. So I'll go to the body tag inside it. Fine. Then I'm forming the XPath for this Gmail. The XPath, the complete XPath is made using tag names. Fine. Inside the body tag, you have got number of division tags and some script tags. Okay, you have just got one division tag, sorry. Fine. So inside the body tag, you have a div tag. Okay. If you look at this Gmail again, fine. Then inside this div tag, there are multiple division tags and multiple script tags. What I am interested in is, I am interested in the second div tag. The second div tag is holding my object Gmail text. Okay, I'm not interested in the first div tag. I'm interested to go inside the second div tag, which is this one. Fine. So what I'll do is I'll write over here inside the div. There is again a div tag, many div tags, but go inside the second div tag. You have to write like this. In the brackets, you write 2. That means inside all these divs, go inside the second division tag. Inside the second division tag, there are again multiple divisions, and I am also again inclined to go inside the second division tag inside this div. So you write the XPath like this, that is inside it again go into second division tag, right? Okay, right. Inside the second division tag, you have an H. Hold on. This div 2, then just a minute. Div 2. Yeah. Inside the second division tag, this was your second division tag. This is the tag till which I have reached. Okay. Inside it, there's another div, and then there's an H1 tag, right? So inside it, then there's another div, and then there is an h1 tag. The h1 tag holds the text Gmail. Okay, h1 tag opens over here, it closes over here, and inside it there's a text known as Gmail. So this becomes the XPath, the absolute XPath. Okay, it starts on the base of the document, right? It traverses the document based on the tag names. Alright, and you don't have to calculate these XPaths manually, right? There is an add-on in Firebug known as Firepath. After installing Firebug, yes, Sanju, you can find it. After that's what I am telling you. You don't have to find it manually the way I did myself over here. You can install an add-on known as Firepath on the top of Firebug, right? When you install this add-on, you go to this and you click on Add to Firefox. Make sure Firebug is installed, right? It's an add-on to Firepath. You'll get this tab known as Firepath over here. Okay, if you move the mouse, so suppose now if I you just click on this option first of all, generate absolute XPath. Okay, you click on the second option, generate absolute XPath. Fine. After checking on this, if I move my mouse over say Gmail image, I will get the XPath over here. This is the XPath given by them. I made a mistake, I guess. I made some mistake by making this. This is the correct one. Okay. Right. Yeah, Adam, I'll tell you. Right. You should never use complete XPaths or absolute XPath. Right. Firepath link is, this is the link for Firepath. Alright. You should never use complete XPath. Now the thing is, the negative thing about complete XPath is that it starts on the base of the document. Tomorrow, if some tag is introduced by the developer in between, then it will go and affect majority of or many of my XPaths on the page, and I'll have to change the code, right? So maintenance of the code becomes a little tough when you are using complete XPath, but the accuracy of complete XPath, it's too good. Sometimes the objects are not identified normally. Fine. When you use absolute XPath, it becomes very easy to identify the objects. Okay, so you can use this absolute XPath until, like, in case it's quite urgent, in case you don't have any other option, fine, use this absolute XPath. But in case you have got options, then in that case partial XPaths come into the play, and partial XPaths are good. Fine, I'll talk about partial XPaths now. Right? If I have to use the complete XPath and identify the object, like in our case, I can write over here driver dot find element by the XPath this. So this will be my web element text, right, or Gmail. Fine. If I have to read the text out of this, you can write system.out.println gmail.getText. GetText function in the web element interface helps you to get the visible text on the browser. Right? It can be applied with a link, it can be applied with the text, anything. If you run this, it will print Gmail, this one. You see that? It's printing Gmail, right? Now in case of Chrome, if I have to find the XPath or something, I'll talk about it, just hold on, right? Just hold on, I'll tell you. Now, what we do practically is, we prefer using partial XPaths. In our Firebug, right, what I'll do is, in Firepath, you uncheck this option, generate absolute XPath. You uncheck this, and then you move your mouse over any component. For example, I move my mouse over this button, add to Firefox, right? It's giving me an XPath like this. A partial XPath will always start with // star id add-on div1 div, it goes like this. Now what it is trying to do is, hold on, it's giving me an XPath like this. Alright, this is the link, anchor tag. It is inside a para tag P. Okay, if you scroll up, this para tag is inside this division. This division is inside this division, and you go on, keep on going up, you will find this division having an ID. So what Firebug does is that, or Firepath does is that, it finds that it goes to anchor tag. Fine, it looks at anchor tag. Has it got an ID? No, it's not got an ID. It moves up. Para tag. Has it got an ID? No, it's not got an ID. It moves up. Then it goes to this div tag. Has it got an ID? No. This div tag, no ID. It keeps on traversing till the time it finds a tag with an ID, which it does. And then it makes the XPath starting from this tag. Fine. It tells you that there is a div tag with the ID add-on. Star means any component on the page. Okay, you have to be very specific. You can write div. It starts with this div tag. That is a div tag with the ID add-on. Inside it there is another div1. Inside it another div, then another div, right? Then the para tag, and then the anchor tag. So it makes the XPath like this. It never goes to the base of the HTML document. It starts traversing from the object which you want to identify. It starts traversing upwards, and it reaches the tag which has got an ID and makes the XPath from that tag. Okay. If you look at the Gmail page, the username page, if you look at this username field, right, this username field has got an XPath like this, / star ID equals to email. Star basically means any tag on the page. Okay. In our case, you can write tag star. You can just copy paste this XPath in the code, but the better option is you type the tag name input. Okay. The better option is that you type the tag name input. Fine. Now, the purpose of XPath is to identify the objects, Kumar. I'll take this XPath and I'll write over here simply driver.find element by the XPath. Instead of identifying the username by the ID, you will write over here by the XPath, and you copy paste this XPath. That's it. So now when you run this, again you will be able to identify the object, right? So XPaths are also used to identify. Fine. And yeah, what is the good way to identify the objects? Look, if ID is there, then there is no good way. ID is the best, right? It makes our work easy. Fine. What is the advantage of finding an element with an XPath? You cannot say it's an advantage, it's a necessity. At times you don't have any other means to identify the object other than finding the object with the XPath. For example, as I told you, go to Gmail and find this text. print this text with the help of Selenium, extract this text with the help of Selenium. Now this text will have nothing, it will have no ID, no name, nothing. So you have to make the XPath based on the tag names. Okay, right. Now coming over to Chrome. If I want to find an XPath for an element, in Chrome you can right click on the element, you can select inspect element. The element will be highlighted, right? You right click on the highlighted element and you will get the option copy XPath. You can copy the XPath, it will give you the partial XPath, right? It will give you double quotes actually, you just have to replace double quotes with single quotes. In Chrome you can get it like that. In IE there is no specific mechanism, you have to make it yourself. What I do is that I make it in Chrome or Mozilla and use the same XPath in IE because the page source will remain the same. Okay, the page source will remain the same. Alright. Can it be used for identifying all the elements you showed or specific elements? It can be used to identify any object on the page. Anything. For example, the sign in button, it's also got an XPath. XPath can be used to identify any object on the page. Okay. It is not that for this object I cannot use XPath, for that object I can use XPath. No. XPath can be used to identify any object on the web page. Alright. Can we compare XPath? No. A regular expression is something else, Mohan. And XPath is something else. XPath is the locator. It is the locator strategy. It comes under the locator strategy. That is the strategy to identify the object in your web page. The regular expression is for generalization. Okay. To identify the objects in IE, first identify them in IE. The best way is that open the website in IE, go to the page source and identify using page source or IE developer tool. There is no tool to get the XPath or something. There are tools, but they make your life hell, right? What I do is that I find the XPath on one browser, say Mozilla or Chrome, and then I use the same XPath on IE. Because the objects, they will remain the same in IE. The page source, it remains same across the browsers. I'm sorry, got a bad throat, right? Fine. So I'll stop here. Fine. Mohan, I got your mail yesterday. I sent you the link, alright, on your email ID. And those of you who had registered for the course yesterday, I guess all of you got the username and password, right?
Please, actually, I didn't get username and password.
May I know who's there?
Shuganti, myself.
Okay, Sugandhi, but you did not register for the course, right?
No, I registered for the course already. I paid the fees on Sunday, I believe. 2-3 days back.
I'm sorry. I just ping me your username. Ping me your email ID. I think I might have the username password with me by right now. I'll just send it to you.
You have my email ID. Yesterday I shared my email ID with you. You have sent URL yesterday to my Gmail ID.
Yeah. Can you just give me on WebEx chat as well? suganthimani.jobs@gmail.com, right?
Yeah, that is the one.
Okay, fine. Just hold on. I have it. Yeah, I got the mail today from Cisco. You'll get it in 2 minutes.
Alright. That is one question. And then another one confirmation. Is it in the weekends also we have a session or only the 5 days a week we have?
It's 5 days a week. Indian Monday to Indian Friday, which will be Sunday evening in US to Tuesday to Thursday evening in US.
Oh, then tomorrow we don't have a session, correct?
No, we don't have a session tomorrow. Fine, we have a session on Monday. Okay, this is Sunday evening for you guys.
Sure, thank you.
Alright, sure, thank you. Uh, Fine. Anything else from anybody? Like, there's a question. There's a question being asked. Can I buy video with my credit card? Yes, you can do that. You have to raise the request from the website, and I'll reach you, Monica. Or you can give me your email ID right now. I'll just reach you after the class. And anything else from anybody? Right? Okay then.